when politics meets the plough. ডক্টর শাহরিনা, এটা হচ্ছে ডেইলি সানের এডিটোরিয়াল। বাংলাদেশ has weathered many storms, but the past year has been exceptional. A sweeping political transition has replaced a long standing administration with an interim government tasked with restoring stability and preparing credible elections. For many, this feels like distant parliamentary maneuvering, but for farmers from Rangpur to Khulna, fisher folk in Patuakhali and vegetable growers outside Dhaka, it is anything but abstract. It determines subsidies for fertilizer and irrigation, the pace of embankment repair, and the credibility of crop procurement. The future of food security, rural livelihoods, and climate resilience now hinges on whether the interim administration uses rare moment, enact evidence-based reform, or lets politics once again derail structural progress. Budget reality check. In fiscal year 2023 to 2024, agriculture, including crops, livestock, fisheries, water, and environment, received BDT 43,700 crore, just 5.7% of the national budget CBD 2023. Of this, BDT 17,500 crore, 33 crore went to subsidies, mostly fertilizer and electricity for irrigation. In fiscal year 2024 to 2025, the allocation rose to BDT 47,332 crore, 5.94%, later revised to 5.99%, the business standard 2024. But growth was marginal against soaring input costs. The June 25, the interim administration proposed BDT 20,224 crore for the Ministry of Agriculture, an increase from BDT 24,690 year earlier BS 2025. Critics welcomed the rise but warned that real-term ADP allocations fell across agriculture. ADP হচ্ছে Annual Development Program allocations fell across agriculture, health, and education, limiting scope for transformative change. Critics welcomed the rise but warned that real-time annual development allocation fell across agriculture, health, and education, limiting scope for transformative ADP to come. Agriculture as a unifier. Agriculture still contributes 11.55% of GDP and is the largest source of rural employment. Climate resilience here is not just technical, it is the foundation for food security and political stability. Unlike divisive debates over electoral reform, agriculture and climate can be unifying theme. Conversations about saline tolerant rice, solar irrigation, flood adapted cropping calendars, or mangrove plantations are socially vital yet politically safer. What grounded in data, these debates become actionable. Salinity expansion from 0.83 million hectares in 1973 to 1.06 million in 2009, SRDI 2010, or 20 to 25% post-harvest losses of perishable move the discussion from rhetoric to measurable commitment. Donor agencies have stepped up adoption programs in chars and coastal even as public spending hovers under 6% of the budget. This suggests an opportunity. Agriculture and climate could be the least polarizing, most impactful focus for constructive political dialogue. কি বলতেছে যে donor agencies have stepped up adaptation programs in চর আছে নদীর চর and coastal district even as public spending hovers under 6% of the budget. This suggests an opportunity. Agriculture and climate could be the least polarizing, most impactful focus for constructive political dialogue. Hidden human cost. Behind budget tables lies a corrosive reality. Misprocurement, tenders, inflated billing, and politically motivated appoint. Transparent Bangladesh and media investigation show how corruption siphon of resources meant for seed equally imbank maintenance and extension service. The result is lower year, greater reliance on ports, price volatility, and eroding farmer trust. The structural cost is often missed. When irrigation projects are over invoiced or seed programs captured by rent seekers, it weakens national resilience. Politicians cannot deliver adaptive service at the scale a climate vulnerable country requires. Corruption corruption in agriculture is thus not just a governance, it is the direct threat to security. Beyond political change, the interim has announced visible initiatives, including new climate projects and budget, but political change alone does not cure national rot. The test whether procurement is professionalized, technical posts insulated from interference, and spending linked to output. There are global models to follow. Nepal and Vietnam publish project dashboards so citizens can track progress in real time. Bangladesh could do the same, measuring hectares under saline tolerant rice, kilometers of climate proof embankments, and reductions in post-harvest loss. Without such systems, higher allocations risk becoming recycled patronage. Reform for results. Bangladesh must move beyond celebrating headline allocations and focus on measurable results. Quarterly indicators as adoption rates of stress-tolerant rice, yield gap improvements, and farmer incomes should be tracked and published through open data portals, enabling citizens and researchers to hold government accountable. Linking budget lines to verified outcomes will ensure that rising allocations translate into tangible benefits. Linking budget lines to verified outcomes will ensure that rising allocations translate into tangible benefits for farmers and rural communities. Cleaning up procurement. Equally critical is cleaning up procurement. Mandatory e-procurement and fully open tenders would curb pollution, while independent forensic audits and whistleblower protections could expose entrenched leakages. So, equally critical is cleaning up procurement. Mandatory e-procurement and fully open tenders would curb collusion, while independent forensic audits and whistleblower protections could expose entrenched leakages. Redirecting even a fraction of misused funds toward extension services, cold storage, and adaptive infrastructure could dramatically strengthen food security and climate resilience. Local action, national leadership, community led solutions must be scaled to build climate resilience where it matters most. বলতেছে যে local action, national leadership, community led solutions must be scaled to build climate resilience where it matters most. Mangrove plantations remain one of the cheapest storm defenses but need wider coverage. Salt barrier ponds, satellite based rainfall forecast, and fertilizer use efficiency programs can help farmers anticipate seasonal stresses. Mechanization tailored for smallholders rather than poorly suited imports would blend traditional practices with modern technology and data driven resilience. বলতেছে যে মেকানাইজেশন tailored for smallholders rather than poorly suited imports would blend traditional practices with modern technology and data driven resilience. বলতেছে যে leadership দরকার. Leadership is the linchpin. Agriculture and climate must move from footnotes to core national priorities. That means admitting waste, fixing failed projects, empowering technocrats, depoliticizing research and extension, and including farmers in monitoring. Verified results, not slogans, must define legitimacy. Turning transition into resilience. A bold initiative could be the launch of a Bangladesh Resilience Compact, a 12-month framework that ties budget allocations to verifiable outcomes. Independent audits and conditional donor disbursement. Independent audits and conditional donor disbursements would ensure funds are used effectively, while a dedicated anti-corruption task force could monitor agriculture and climate spending. Public dashboards and real-time reporting would allow citizens to track progress, turning political transition into measurable gains for farmers and communities. The urgency is undeniable. In late 2024, floods wiped out 1.1 million tons of rice, worth nearly BDT 45 billion, forcing costly imports. The National Adaptation Plan concedes that current adaptation spending is 7 times below required level. Resources exist, but without transparent, outcome linked action, Bangladesh risks repeating cycles of disaster and emergency response. Resilience beyond politics. Bangladesh's farmers and coastal communities have long embodied resilience, withstanding salinity, erratic monsoons, and price shock. The political turmoil of the past year has been costly, but has opened a rare window to repair failing systems. A national data-driven conversation exposing corruption, celebrating local innovation, and demanding accountability could leave a legacy greater than partisan gains. Greater than gains. If leaders, technocrats, and citizens seize this moment for transparency and evidence based reform, Bangladesh can turn political turbulence into its most climate resilient harvest yet. The writer is a national consultant for Bangladesh under ICAP project Apraka. She can be reached